carried. Okay. Our treasurer is now ready. I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Roll call. Carol Sue, please.
Ron Miller.
Present.
Chris Armstrong.
Here.
Mayor Ted Franklin.
Here. Approval of minutes.
I have read them, and if no one has any corrections, which I didn't see, I'd make a motion we approve the minutes.
I second. Any discussion? It's been moved and properly seconded. All in favor of approving the minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passes on a vote of 3-0. Approval of claims.
I'd make a motion we approve claims totaling $246,058.12.
Second.
Is there any discussion? It's been moved and properly seconded to approve claims totaling $246,058.12. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Passes on a vote of 3-0. Approval of licenses. We have
8.
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 7 licenses for approval. Is there any discussion?
I'd make a motion we approve the licenses that have been presented.
I would second that motion. It's been moved and properly seconded. All in favor of approval of licenses, please signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Passes on a vote of 3-0. Any changes to the agenda? No? Okay. Old business, 1000 East Broadway. The owner is ordered to appear, and I believe I see the owner. Mr. Henshaw, can you come up? Thank you for being here. I'm sorry about your loss. I understand you've had a difficult time, and we can certainly understand why you didn't make the last meetings. And again, I want to thank you for being here today. We continue to discuss the property that you own located at 1000 East Broadway, and I have in my possession a timeline for your intentions to repair the structure. I have visited the structure personally, and it is in quite bad shape, as I'm sure I'm not breaking news to you. But I have your timeline for repairs right here, and the timeline addresses replacement of windows in the home, and it's all windows up through August, and then September indicates that you would work on the eaves on the front of the house. In October, it goes back to new windows on the north side of the building. And looking at the house, I want to make sure that we give you plenty of advance notice that replacing the windows, while it's a good thing, we understand, we want to work with you. But quite honestly, it's just not enough progress timely enough. Again, this goes back. We've been dealing with this property since 1995, for 17 years now, and we want to see more progress. And I've talked to the acting building commissioner. There's some real concerns with the overhang, the eaves on the house. They're literally falling off. There's boards hanging out, and we have documented that with photography. The roof, as we stand on the sidewalk, we can look up through the windows, clearly visible from the sidewalk, and we can see daylight. And we have to have a commitment that the property, the roof will be fixed, the overhang will be completed, and the windows will be back in the structure. And we need you to understand that. What I don't want to do is see you invest money in windows unnecessarily if there's not going to be further progress on the roof. We're giving you plenty of advance notice to make sure that you understand that. I don't want to see you invest money that turns out to be for nothing. And we have to have a commitment from you that you're going to fix the roof additionally, fix the overhang as well, put the windows in it, clean up the appearance of the outside. I do appreciate, I notice that the grass is always mowed, and I appreciate that. It's the structure itself that is just no longer acceptable. We have to make progress on it, and quite honestly, this 6-month timeline is not soon enough. I want to give you plenty of advance knowledge as to what we expect. And I think the first time we had this on the agenda was in February, and I really haven't seen any progress since February other than taking the scaffolding down, which really doesn't improve the location. It doesn't improve the building itself. Building commissioner have anything she would like to add?
The only thing I would like to say is that a lot of the windows have gotten worse since February. I can show it in the pictures. They're starting to, the top panes are starting to come down. So, and there's a lot more broken out than what there was before. And being able to see daylight through the windows, through the roof is not a good thing.
May I say something?
Yes, please.
Mr. Henshaw, just restating what the mayor said, the city would like to see this house rescued. Not in the condition it's in today, but we'd like to see it rescued and restored and put back into service. And in order to do that, it's going to take an enormous amount of effort and money on your part to do that. And so what the mayor basically said is we appreciate the fact that you have a timeline to repair certain parts of the building, but it's not going to be a total restoration, and I'm not sure that you have a firm grip on what that restoration cost might be. And so to make sure that you can get the job done before you start spending money on it, make sure you can finish the job. We'd hate to see you invest some money and then find out at the end of the day you couldn't finish the job. And see where I'm going?
I also have to tell you, we now have money appropriated to address some of these blighted structures in Logansport, and we have every intention of taking action as is required. We have more homes than money, obviously, but we are going to address some of these issues, and we're going to address them this year. I would like to strongly suggest that you secure estimates, if that's what it takes, on completing the roof, on completing the overhangs, on completing installation of new windows, buttoned up the outside of the building. There's some real structural problems with that building too. I see there's a crack in the bricks on the north wall that runs nearly the entire length of the building. And I wonder if the investment in that building is even wise. It's your building, and that's something that you'll have to determine through the cost estimates that you're being asked to obtain. Again, I don't want to see you invest money in something that at the end of the day you're not going to be able to recover. We want to work with you. I would ask you to be in contact with the building commissioner's office and to secure those estimates, and with the full knowledge that the city intends to take action on this property by October. I think that's fair. That's a building season. That's all summer, to give you a chance to get something done. At least get the estimates and see if you want to proceed and go forward from there. And I think at that point in time, you will get to decide if the investment is worth it or not. So we're more than willing to work with you, but at the same time, we want to see progress. We're going to see progress, but that's your call. You got to decide if the investment is worth it or not. Okay? All right. Well, I certainly appreciate you being here. October 1st. Okay? If you decide you're not going to do something before that, please let us know.
Okay.
But October 1st, we intend to take action. Okay, thank you. Okay. No further old business. Under new business, Logan's Landing.
Morning.
Hi. How are you?
I'm fine.
Good. When you make it back to the microphone, would you state your name and address, who you represent for the record? Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Becky Harris. I'm Executive Director of Logan's Landing, and we're here today to make it official that we will be installing a pedestrian wayfinding kiosk about roughly halfway between Market Street and the alley, the old Salvation Army building, on 4th Street. The packets that you have there, you might have already had that information, contain a letter from Mayor Franklin giving his approval of the location. And this is on city property on the sidewalk, so we do need Board of Works approval. These kiosks were funded through a grant, a $5,000 grant from OCRA, the Office of Community and Rural Affairs. This was called a Downtown Enhancement Grant, and it required a 50% local match. And that local match, the other $5,000, is coming from the Cass County Visitors Bureau. And as you may be aware, they've had a much larger scale wayfinding signage project that they've been working on for quite some time. This is separate from but complementary to their wayfinding signage project. This is strictly pedestrian wayfinding. At the time that we wrote the grant application back in late 2009, the 4th Street grant project was just getting started, and we were predicting that once that project was completed and the completion of the connection of trails, that 4th Street corridor is going to have significantly more pedestrian and bicycle traffic on it. And we felt the need for this pedestrian wayfinding signage. Have any questions for me?
I'm very familiar with the project.
Yeah, draw a picture for me. Where is the Market Street location? Excuse me, the 4th Street location. Is that between, between Market and the alley that runs east and west? Okay.
Just
Correct.
north of the Salvation Army building.
On the
site.
east side of the street.
Oh, okay, I had it now. Okay.
There will be a mirror image, more or less, at the opposite end of the street, the north end of 4th Street. That sign will be going on county property at the northeast corner of the Sheriff's Office, County Government Building, and that'll be in a little landscaped area. The other pedestrian wayfinding sign will go there. The insert for the sign, it's a double-sided sign, and the insert will contain a map with a "You Are Here," like you see at shopping malls and airports. It will have a list of annual events that take place downtown, places that people can get something to eat or drink, retail stores, etc. So it's intended to help out pedestrians who perhaps live in the area but maybe aren't familiar with some of what downtown has to offer, and certainly with an eye out towards folks who may be visiting from out of town. Perhaps they're here for a wedding or a high school reunion, something like that, and this is a way to jog their memory as to what's available in the downtown.
Okay, thank you. And one motion will cover both of these?
I believe it would.
Okay.
Do you have any discussion?
No.
Any questions? Okay.
I'd make a motion that we approve the Logan's Landing request on both placements.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Is there any public comment? Been moved and properly seconded to approve the request by Logan's Landing to place wayfinding signage on 4th Street. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed. Passes on a vote of 3-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have next Mr. Randy Miller with Roselawn Drive dedication. Thanks for being here, Randy. If I could I get you to give us a little bit of background on this? I think
Yes,
this
I will.
road project actually started under Mayor Hettinger.
Yeah.
And it's another one of those things that we discovered.
Yep.
And we're here today to finally make it right.
You bet. It's Randy Miller from Randall Miller & Associates. We're over there in the Logan's Landing building, actually.
Logan Square building.
Or Logan Square building, I'm sorry. You have a very small rendition of the original Mylar plat in front of you. I know it's very difficult to read, but I can walk you through what we're trying to accomplish here. The right-of-way did not exist. It was more of a prescriptive easement by usage, way of necessity, if you will. And in reviewing this, we did some Alta surveys for where Ivy Tech is now trying, and we discovered the problem and presented it to the city, and they asked that we start the process. There are 3 landowners that were involved. One was the city, one was Mr. McCord, and the other is the East Lawn or East Gate? East Gate Shopping Center. We have acquired mortgage releases from all those people who are required to release the mortgage so that the landowners could then dedicate to the city by virtue of a deed which has been recorded. So all the deeds are recorded, all the mortgage releases are in place, which allows them to create those deeds so that we can now then have a formally dedicated public right-of-way. And so this is a document that will be recorded. It's kind of like a plat of a subdivision. In effect, only it's really just a roadway. And this wraps everything together, puts a cap and an end onto it, and really that's pretty much the size of what we're here to ask for today.
Do we need to beat this dead horse some more, or you ready for a motion?
Well, unless there's any discussion. Do you have any discussion? I understand what's happened here.
Yeah.
Again, it's tightening up the loose ends that
Yep.
that have been out there for a while. So
Every now and then one of these go slip through and you got to clean it up, and that's what we're doing here, is
And
helping
our
you guys clean it up.
Terminology is we're approving.
You're dedicating the right-of-way and accepting the roadway for your ownership, which you now have by deed, and the maintenance thereof.
yeah.
I'd make a motion that we approve the dedicated right-of-way and accepting the roadway.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Anything from the Department of Public Works? Please come forward.
Is it in good shape? You know, it sounds to me like.
Yeah.
I knew that
It's the pass-through there at Eastgate.
I know that we snow plowed when we had snow.
Yeah.
And if you've looked at it, it's okay.
Yeah, the road is in good shape.
So
Appears to be.
maintain-
Yeah, and it's something we already do.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. It's been moved and properly seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
have the document here, if I can approach, that perhaps we
If
can
you'll,
have
if you'll
signature.
stick around till after, we'll sign.
Yes,
we
that'd be
have a-
fine.
Okay. Thank you, Randy.
Thank you.
Reports. Acting Building Commissioner, Deb?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I had 4 building inspections this week, and I ordered 3 properties to appear, but it doesn't look like any of them are here. And most of these are just roof problems that I'm trying to get them to repair. It's nothing too major. I did 12 permits and 2 contractor registrations.
Any questions? I'd make a motion.
We approve her report.
I would second your motion. It's been moved and properly seconded to accept the building commissioner's report. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Thank you, Deb.
Thank you.
Code enforcement officer. Another easy week for you?
That doesn't happen in this job.
Okay.
Trash violations, we've been so busy with the mowing season, the grass season. It's kind of been neglected, but I did issue 5 notices for trash. And again, with the vehicles, it's the same thing there. We did tags 10 vehicles. There were 6 vehicles that the owners themselves cleared and removed. The city did not tow any vehicles as of yet. In addition to the, I believe it was 121 houses or properties that I had informed you about last week that we'd tagged for weeds and violation, grass violations, we tagged another 102 this week. We cleaned up by the property owner with 36 pieces of property. cleared by the city. The two young men, college students that we hired to mow, they mowed 22 since our last meeting. That brings a total of 37 that the city has cleaned up, that we've mowed, and I'm certain that most of these 37s will probably be repeat offenders. And based on the going trend of the 102 that I tagged this week, my guess is going to be that we're probably going to end up with similar numbers, around 40 to 45 of those 102 that the city's going to end up having to take care of. And that's it for my report.
Questions?
I make a motion that we approve.
I would second that.
Thank you.
Been moved and properly seconded to accept the code enforcement officer's report. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passes on a vote of 3-0. Thank you, George. Superintendent of Public Works.
Good morning.
Morning, Dan.
I have my report in front of each one of you. Hopefully at this time you will thumb through it. I'm sure there got to be some kind of comments. This report is for the Logansport Street Department and also Mount Hope Cemetery. We've been very, very, very busy.
On your Board of Works report, is there a toter that keeps disappearing at 1425, 1427 East Broadway?
I was hoping you would go over that. Yes, we've been there. We've been there 6 times. I personally went there yesterday and took a code enforcement officer with me. The people are going to be notified because it is a mess. In that one little part of the alley, to give you an idea, there's 22 toters there. But we have addressed it.
So what, 21 other people are missing toters or what?
No, there's 2 neighbors that actually don't agree, and we've numbered them. We've done everything humanly possible, and a letter is going to be sent to 2 of them notifying them that actually by law those toters shouldn't be in the alley. They should take them up like to their back door. So
Thank you.
we do spend a lot of time in that alley.
Make a motion we accept the report of the street commissioner cemetery, or no, the Public Works.
Second.
I have one more question.
Yes, sir.
How many loads of compost and mulch do you haul in a routine week?
Last Thursday, we had 12 loads come in all during the day. We kept 2 trucks coming in, 12 loads, and by 2 o'clock they were all gone.
Wow.
And
Is there plenty of surplus out at the stockpile?
yes,
Yeah. Is there enough to do an entire season?
I believe so. Yes, sir.
Any more questions? All right.
We ought to have the best landscape city in the country.
We should have. Yeah. It's been moved and properly seconded to accept the Superintendent of Public Works report. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? All right. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Chief Clark. He's not here. Okay, understood. And Chief Strong.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Nothing really major going on. We had a couple fires the other night. Had 2 at the same time. One at Chase Crossing Apartments. Had a little laundry fire there, and at the same time we were there just finishing up. Still had lines off the truck. We got another fire on 16th Street in between Market and Broadway. Pretty good garage fire that spread to the house. Guys did a really good job. Rescued a guy from the basement. His whole door was completely engulfed in fire. They got it put out, went down, got him out. So
Good.
did a really good job. Captain B.J. Cox went down and got him out. So I want to commend the guys on good job being short-handed like we are and having 2 fires at the same time. We did a really good job.
You call in help?
Yes, we did.
Called in extra help?
Yeah.
How
We
many?
called in and got 4 guys to respond. We called for 6. We got 4. So,
I see you've done some landscaping at the fire station, the new
Yeah, we
sidewalks
got the-
installed.
yeah, I got the trail going through, so with the help of the street department and the cemetery department both, we've got a lot of dirt put in there and trying to fix up the outside, make it look nice for the trail, planted a lot of plants, and keep working on that, make it look pretty nice down there for the trail.
Okay. Any questions for the chief?
I make a motion we approve his report.
Second.
Been moved and properly seconded to accept the chief's report. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passed on a vote of 3-0. Board member comments? Visitor comments? Mr. Berkshire, come on up. State your name and address, please.
Michael Berkshire, 528 Bate Street, Logansport, Indiana. I'd like to request some guidance from the board as to exactly what they want in regards to landscaping of residences and various other lots in the community. Because I seem to go through this every so often with different administrations as to what the administration's interpretation of the ordinances are.
Okay.
And I've got a call from my friends / landlords who live in Noblesville, who said they received a letter from the code enforcement officer. They called Saturday evening. They were quite concerned, quite upset. And as I explained to them, this happens occasionally, and usually what happens, usually what happened under the old administration was code enforcement would grab me or knock on the door and say, here, this is what I want done. And we would reach a happy medium without involving letters and getting people upset. So that's what I need to know. That's what I want to know.
Okay. Have you read the ordinance? I apologize, I don't have the ordinance in front of me, but I think the standard is grass that's 8 inches tall on the first mowing.
I mow my grass.
Okay.
The bone of contention, I think, is my tendency to have a buffer grow between the street and the house, a screen, to say.
I'm not sure that the problem's in the front of the house. If memory serves me correctly, it seems like it's in the back, maybe back by the garage. And I could be wrong, but
well, I do have a large amount of sweet peas growing back there, which I inherited from the previous owner.
George, do you have photographs?
No, I don't make a practice of taking photographs of grass.
Okay. Are you familiar with this?
Yes.
Can you come up?
The grass I mow, not on a regular basis.
The problem isn't so much with the grass, and he is correct, he does mow, but not on a regular basis. Sometimes it gets close to the 8-inch limit, and sometimes he does a really good job at keeping it mowed. The problem is with the weeds and the overgrowth around the house and along the sidewalk in the front of the house, and particularly at the rear of the house, next to the garage, the weeds get out of hand there. They're sometimes quite tall, and that's the issue. The weed ordinance, the grass ordinance, doesn't just refer to the lawn and the grass. It also refers to and talks about fence lines along the house, along the trees, flower gardens, mulch gardens, that type of stuff.
I have had calls concerning the overgrowth towards the back of the house as cars pass by the alley, that something hanging over and scratching their cars.
Well, one end of it is raspberry bushes.
Does it hang over into the alley? Yeah.
Depending on the season.
Yeah, and I could understand that if I were driving my car down the alley and something was scratching my car, I would definitely want something.
Is that acceptable as a pinch roll? I'm just asking.
I would.
Let me make a suggestion here. You two make an appointment and go over there and go over the entire property. I mean, sometimes pictures don't do it justice, and we need an accurate snapshot in time. And the best way to do that is to do the visit in person.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm comfortable with that, Ted.
I'm just trying to strike a happy medium, because I will be the first one to admit that my design landscaping is somewhat eclectic. I don't like people driving by and looking on front window, and I do have drapes that I fold, but I have quite a bit, you may not know it, but I do have quite a bit of expensive planting in that area. But I would appreciate it. George, God's sakes, we've known each other long enough. Knock on my door or shake my hand. You know, I'm not.
We do have a procedure in place that spells, well, it's the ordinance, and that's the terms of the ordinance, and we're going to follow the ordinance.
And you know, this is.
We're happy to work with you. We're going to go over and make an in-person visit with you.
I've said this before, and I'll say it again. This is Logansport, Indiana. We know each other. We talk to each other. This is not Chicago, and we don't need to go through all this.
Sure, and you have a copy of the ordinance
I have a
in your
copy of the
possession,
ordinance.
and I assume that you read and understand the English language.
And I understand it.
Okay.
But if you were to take this ordinance by the strictest interpretation, which some people might, Dyckman Park is in violation.
Yeah, and I don't think we do take it in the strictest of interpretations. I think we're very liberal in our interpretation of it. But when growth is so large that it hangs out over the alley and somebody complains about their car being scratched by neglect, then it becomes an issue. And we only address the most severe cases. We have cases of grass that are 2 and 3 feet tall, and those are the ones that we're addressing. And I could just about recall driving down your alley, I bet it's 6 feet tall, the brush that's overgrown in the alley and hanging out.
That's the raspberry bush.
Still on your property.
That's the raspberry bushes.
Okay, well, we're asking you to maintain it.
Do we have an exemption for raspberry bushes?
No.
I'm going to check into that.
If it's hanging over in a public way, we're going to cut it.
I'm going to check.
Okay.
Because I think there's an exemption for agricultural product. Which could be for the raspberry bush. I'll look into it.
There's no doubt that there is exceptions in there, but the problem is exactly like the mayor said. When it gets to the point that it's hanging out in a public right-of-way and people can't drive through there without scratching the sides of their vehicle up, then that's when we have to take actions.
Mike, I would ask you to take a common sense approach to this.
Yeah,
Let's
we've
clean it up.
discussed this. You were my city councilman. We've discussed
Sure.
this ad nauseum, not this and other subjects. You know.
Sure.
We've known each other for God knows how long.
Yes, we have. We want to treat you right. We're going to be fair with you and ask you to do this on your own. Save everybody a lot of headache.
Well, I'll get the raspberry bushes. The other stuff, I admit, I've got some weeding out to do.
Okay.
But-
I'm going to ask the code enforcement officer to make an appointment with you. The two of you meet up at that time, go over it with him, make sure it's in compliance. Okay? Thank you very much. All right, is there any other visitor comments? All right. Miscellaneous business, including matters not already considered. Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Been motion to adjourn.